All right, so let's do the mock assessment. So it says we're going to create an MVC app with a get age view and a result view both in the home folder. Get age will prompt the user to enter their age and name. Upon hitting submit, the user will be redirected to the result view, which will indicate whether the user is able to drive and drink. Any calculation should be done in the home controller and return the result view using the person model. Okay, cool. So it looks like there's a couple of things we need to do. Let's just get started with the basic MVC app. So I'm going to create a new project. And when you guys do your assessment, you'll be able to just clone this, but I'm just going to start with a new project just to show you how it's working. Model view controller. And then hit next. And then do mock assessment. 5, I think we're on. And then I will make sure we put this in the correct spot. Yep, select folder. I'll actually name it Unit 5 mock assessment. All right, cool. All right, don't need authentication. All right, here we go. So so basically I tend to work with the model first and then work to the controller then the view last. The reason being is because the view, like everything above the model, what I mean by above, like if you could think of it like a stack, like models at the very bottom, controllers in the middle, and views at the top. Like the model is like what everything's based off of. So like if there is no like person model, then nothing else is going to really work. So we have a person, and a person should have the following properties. I'm going to work on this person first. So I'm going to like bring this in here, and let's create a person model. So all a model is just basically a C# object. So we're going to do that. So we're going to do person. All right, and then I'm going to, I like to do this because I don't like the extra space. I'm going to put some multi-line quotes. That way I can look at what the heck they want me to do. So the person should have the following properties: int age, public, int age, get set. Cool. And then public string username, get set, public bool can drink, get set, public bool can drive, get set. Now because we're not doing like any framework, I don't need to like have ID or person ID as the primary key because I'm not actually going to store anything in the real life table. If we were doing Entity Framework, you would need to put like public int ID or public int person ID in order for Entity Framework to track this model. But since we're not really doing that, we don't really need it. Okay, cool. So that's done. So I know like it says 1, 2, 3, but like if you think about it, um, like you need this model before you can really honestly do anything else. All right, so we're going to work in the home controller. So we don't actually have to make our own controller, which is nice. And so we have two actions, get age and result. So get age is the form, and then result is the actual like, hey, like, can you drink and drive? Okay, so let's look here. They kind of say what the view is supposed to have. So one way I would tackle this is since we're going to be in the home controller, I just like to do a little stubbing. Um, the home controller will have some like default stuff in here. You can just leave it. Like there's no reason to touch it. Just like there's index, there's privacy, there's error, like whatever. All right, so we have a result and get age. So that means that in order for us to have these two views, we're going to have actions or controller methods that are exactly the same name as the view. So we have get age and we have a result. So that therefore means that we're going to have a result and get age method inside the home controller. So public iAction result, which is the interface, iAction result, which a lot of different things use this interface. The point of this interface is basically to allow you to makes for a more flexible controller. I'll show you what that means in 1 second. Let's do get, my memories like that of a goldfish. It is get age. Okay, so that's our first one. And then I don't know what to put in here just yet, so I'm going to do return view. We're going to fill this in later. And then public iAction result, result. And then I'll have it return a view. All right, now this iAction result, what the heck is this? I actually results in interface. So remember, the point of an interface is that many things can use the same interface and they're all interchangeable. That means that what this method returns could be a view like this. Later on when we do APIs, it can return the different kinds of things that APIs want to return. So we use the interface because that gives us a lot of flexibility as to what our actions can return. In this case, the actions want to return a view, meaning like, hey, I want to take some data that I get, from the model and mix it in with the HTML. That's why these views are called CSHTML, because they're like a mix. I take some data, I take some static, plain Jane HTML, and I mix the two together to get a nice view. Okay. All right. Now, the result is going to be take some data. So get age is just going to show a form, and result is going to take in a person model as a parameter. All right, we can do that. Let's do result first. Get age is we can do it in any order, but I want to do result first. So this is going to be from a form. So it's going to be a post. All right. We need this attribute. Okay, these are called attributes. And this lets the controller know, like, hey, this result method occurs when someone tries to do a post to the home controller. Like, so if someone sends a request to your app and it gets routed to the home controller and it's a post, this will run. If it were a get, it would go somewhere else. Right? Remember, there are different HTTP verbs: get, post, put, patch, delete. There's some other ones that don't get used there very often. But they basically, this is like intent. You can think of it that way. When someone sends a request in, it lets us know, like, hey, like the person who sent this request is sending me information. Okay, cool. I'll do something with it. All right. Well, since they're sending me information, what kind of information is sending me? We're going to say it's from a form. All right, so the information they're giving me is coming from a form. Now, if you do from, you'll notice that there's actually a bunch of different things: from query, from route, from services. There's many different ways a request can carry data that we can read. Let's just do form for right now. And we'll say, okay, this form they're sending me represents a person. The data within the form, if C# goes to the form and creates a new person, it'll grab the data. How does it do that? It's a framework. We don't really need to worry about that. All right, now if the person, so basically if they can drink and drive, that's the base of the point, right? Like we look at it, like we'd be able to check if they can drink or drive. We could do this in the model, honestly speaking, and that's probably the way I would do it, would be just changing the getters here. Like if we finagle this a little bit and I change the getters and setters, but I'll show you both ways. So we could do it here. If we do it here, what I'm going to do instead is basically override the get method and say okay, cool. Let's see, age is greater than or equal to 21. So I'll have it return whether or not their age is greater than or equal to 21. And then for set, it will be can drink equals value. All right, we haven't done this in quite some time. So I would have the class make the decision about whether or not the person can drink. If this is too alien, I'm going to undo it and put it back to regular get set. And then if you do that, then you can put this logic in the controller and just basically be like, hey, cool. First off, if the person is null, then we return not found. So again, for the assessment, it's not part of the requirement, but I would do this because just because you say you're supposed to get a form does not mean the person posted the form correctly or put the information incorrectly. So we do need to check to make certain that hey, this is correct. In fact, what I would do actually is model state. If model state dot is valid person. Okay, so what you can do. Oh, it's not a method, it's just a property. Okay, cool. So we'll do it like this. So basically model state, if not model state is valid, then we will say, I'm sorry, what we'll do actually is we'll just kick them back to return, redirect to action, get age. And since we're in the same controller, it will, when you do redirect to action, what this does is it says, okay, cool, I'm in the result action, right? And so if I want to kick them off to another action, you do redirect to action, which means hey, go to this other page. Now, if you're in the same controller, so the get age actions in the same controller, So I don't need to put the controller in here. I just need to put the method. If there's like another controller, you have to actually say which controller do you want to send them to. And if you don't remember, you can hover over redirect to action, and it will say like what it needs. So like if I had another controller, like if there was such a thing as a person controller, right? Then I hover over it, and then you can see like if you put two things in here, the first one's the action, the second one's the controller. But since it's the same controller, I don't need to actually have the second part. Like there's no point. All right, so they don't give me the form correctly. I'm going to kick them back to the form and tell them to do it right. And then I'm going to say, okay, cool. They gave me a person. Everything's hunky-dory. If person.age is greater than 21, then person.can drink is equal to true. Actually, that should be greater than or equal to. And then if person.age is greater than or equal to 16, then that person can drive. You can drive. There we go. Equals true. So you can do this either which way, either in the model or in the controller. Technically speaking, I would do it in the model. I kind of find like the controller shouldn't necessarily have sway over this kind of thing, but that's a nitpicky thing. And then we're going to take this person and we're going to return them to the view. Now this is the hardest part of MVC, is understanding line 39. What line 39 is saying is, hey, go to the views folder, then go to the home folder. The reason they're going to the home folder is because this is called the home controller. If it were the person controller, it would go to the person folder. It will go to whatever folder is needed the controller. It will then look for its CS.html file with the same name as its action. Right now there isn't one. We're going to add one. But it's going to basically say, hey, I'm looking for a CS.html file called result. If it finds it, it will literally, in the background, you don't see this happening, it takes the HTML file and mashes it in with your data and then displays it to the user. So there's like this hidden step of, hey, I'm going to take the HTML you write and rewrite it with data in it, or using whatever code you gave me and then be able to show it to you. So you have to think about like Razor, when we learned Razor and writing C# in the view. That basically is instructions for the computer to rewrite your HTML according to what you want. All right, so now we've got the person, we've got the logic, and we're returning the person to the view. Now, as for the form, the getAge form, I typically like to person equals new person. So like make a fresh person that has nothing in it and pass it into the view. All right, that way that we can use the model in the form. All right, now these are nice skinny controllers. I don't actually need to do anything else, right? I just basically need to make my views now. So since we're in the home controller, therefore we need to go into the views section and go into the home folder, because that's the name of the controller. The names matter. We're going to add a view. I'm going to add a getAge view. We'll just do empty Razor view. That's fine. So getAge, like spelling, case, all that's important. And then we'll also add another view called result. Neat. All right, so let's save everything and close some stuff out. All right, result is probably the easier one. I think result wants me to just basically show from person display the age and username of their own p tags. If the person can drive, display a p tag. Okay, so we got some conditional stuff. All right, so person, I'm just doing this for fun. You don't need it, but p tag. Oh, what we need at the top is we needed to tell Razor that, hey, like the data that's going to be mixed in with this HTML is what type, because C# is, needs to know what kind of data it's working with. So we do app model, which is the directive, and then we're going to do person, right? Because that's what we're working with. We're working with a person. So here we go. Now we can work with a person. So now we can work with the model behind this view. So you're wondering, what the heck are you talking about, Jonathan? Remember, when we did result, right, in this method, we're returning the view and we're giving it the data. This is the data. This person on line 41 corresponds to the model up here. Okay, that's what that means. Oops, I'm working in the getAge. I meant to work in result. All right, let's move all that stuff over here. Okie doke. So now I want to display like the user's name, right? I don't know what the user's name is because it could be anybody. I don't know. No problem. What we could do is we can basically say, hey, I'm about to do C# now. So I'll do the @ symbol and then model with a capital M to represent the data that comes in. I can put like username. So we have the username. I'm guessing what else do we want? The username and their age. Cool. So we'll be like username at model.age. All right. And now we're going to use some if statements. All right, so if you don't want certain things on the screen, you can, under certain circumstances, you can use if statements like you normally would in just C#. So we're going to do @if model.age. Notice I didn't have to put the @ symbol a second time. I just put it at the beginning of line 8, and that's like, hey, we're doing HTML, we're doing C# now. So if age is greater than or equal to 21, then we'll say in a p tag, this person can drink. Or what do they want me to say? Like, what exactly does it say? The person can say this person can drink, this person can drive. This person can drink. Okay, cool. So @if model.age is greater than or equal to 16. Put a p tag. I just had to spell model correctly. And then we'll say this person can drive. And I guess they want if it's like neither, right? So else display nothing. If the person drinks display an H2, oh, they want an H2 tag. They're being cheeky. All right, you want an H2 tag, fine. All right, cool. Otherwise, display an H1 tag saying the person is too young to drink. All right, cool. So we can do an else here with the H2 tag saying the person is too young to drink. All right, so here's the cool thing. Again, now our HTML is a little more dynamic. That means depending on what data is passed into result.cs_html, different things will show up to the screen, right? That depends. So depending on what the person puts in the form. Speaking of the form, let's go do that. All right, so we're gonna use a form. I need to have an input. Let me read what they want me to do. Result view, and then we did the get age. The view will have a form with the following inputs. The form should invoke the result action, a number input with the name of age, and text input with a submit button. All right, so we're gonna do form ASP action equals result. ASP controller equals home. All right, because the result, remember, result is in the home controller, and it is, this is the name of the action, so that means that's where it knows where to go. And then we're going to do method equals post because we want to know we're going to do HTTP post. Okay, when the person hits the submit button, we're going to post the form to the controller. All right, so now we're going to do input type equals text. All right, and then ASP4 equals model. So you can put like, so you see how like I did that, I like brought up a bunch of stuff. So we're gonna bring like username. Yep, oops, username. All right, and then I'm gonna put a label here actually, so it's easier to read. So label username, please. And then we'll do another one. So we'll do label age. Input type equals text. ASP4 equals age. And we'll actually should be number here because we wanted to put a number in here. And then do button type equals submit. When you make the button, the type equals submit, that means that when they click the button, it will automatically post. That's for most browsers. I think every browser is updated to do that. In the olden days, it wasn't so. And then in between here, we'll put submit. Now, that means that when they'll type some stuff in, and then we'll click, and then it will come here to the result action. So I'm going to put a stopper down here so when we try it out. And then I would like to be able to test this out. So let's actually run our program. And let's see if it works. So here's the default screen. I want to go to the get age. So when you go to, if you want to like directly visit it by typing the URL, you can do controller action. So I can type the controller, then the action like this. All right, so I just did /home/getAge, and it brought me to this view. I'm going to put Bobathan. His age is 22. All right, so let's see what happens when I hit submit. Okay, so I post it to result, and then it should pop up my debug point. So here, the debug point got hit. If I hover over person, you'll notice that it got the age and the username. So this is from the form, and then we'll check to see the model say is valid, true, and then we will do some stuff. I'll hit forward, and we see the person's name is Bobathan 22. This person can drink. This person can drive. Okay, so let's try again. Let's test it. Let's do someone that can neither drink nor drive. Right? If I submit, this person is too young to drink. Okay, and it doesn't show anything about driving. Let's get a person who can drive but can't drink. Person's too young to drink. This person can drive. All right, so again, this is home. This is the get age view. It has a form. When I hit the forms type, it's the form. The form. Let me go back to it. Sorry, I'm going to get ahead of myself. The method is post. The actions result. The controller is home. It has a submit button with type equals submit. That means when I click this, the button has to be inside the form. The button cannot be outside the form for that to work. The button has to be inside the form tag in order for this to work. So when I click the button, it does a post. It will take the values that are put inside of these different inputs and send them, post them to the result action. The result action will read the form and convert it to a C# person object. Then I can do whatever I want inside the controller. I check to see if the person's over 21, over 16, and I return to the view the data from the person. Then we get to the result view. The data, this person is the same person that's like here, right? So whatever data I get back, I'm going to take it to the result, and then the result will change based on the age of the user. So I can show different HTML based on the age of the user. So that's why, like, oops, let me go to my thing. That's why when I have, like, this person's 23, it looks like this. They can say this person can drink, this person can drive. Whereas if I put, like, 15, see how, like, the HTML is different? That's because of those if statements. All right, so this should hopefully is not too daunting. All right, again, I would start off with a model, figure out what the model is, and go do the model. Then I would work on the controller, get my actions out, figure out if I'm doing like a post, like if one of the actions is supposed to like if one of the actions is supposed to trigger when someone submits a form, you're gonna need this post, you're gonna need this from form, right? And then you're gonna need to check if the model say is valid, and you may have to do some logic inside the action, which is no biggie. Remember, when we return the view, we're returning data. All right, that's what we're giving the view data to work with. Other than that, you need to make certain that you're putting things in the right folder. This is the home controller. That means all the views related to the home controller must go in the home folder. The name of the action, the method, must be the same as the view, right? If I change one of those, like if I even change it by a little, it will mess up. Like this would mess it up. I would not be able to go to this view anymore because the spelling would be off. Meaning, if I try to do like home get age, it won't know. Well, I guess maybe the spelling does. All right, maybe the spelling does. They don't really care about the case sensitivity. Let's see if we can mess this up a bit more. What if I put like age? Let's see this. Okay, so maybe like it's not case sensitive. Let's see if it likes this. I'm curious now. There we go. All right, so it didn't find it. You're gonna get this 404 page. It's like, who the heck is this? All right, but obviously, but apparently I just learned it's not case sensitive. All right, that should be it for the mock assessment. Let me know if you guys have any questions.